When we talk about awakening genuine attraction in someone, we're not referring to manipulative games or superficial strategies. What Napoleon Hill taught us through his studies of the human mind goes far beyond that. He showed us that true personal magnetism is born from a much deeper place, from our ability to become the best version of ourselves. Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to have a special glow, an energy that naturally draws others in? It's not a coincidence, nor is it luck. It is the result of consistent inner work, of a journey of self-discovery that transforms not only how we see ourselves, but how the world perceives us. The first truth we need to embrace is this: authentic attraction begins when we stop trying to be what we think others want and start to genuinely fall in love with who we truly are. This might sound simple, but in practice it's one of the most challenging tasks we can undertake. Napoleon Hill discovered that our subconscious mind is constantly fed by the thoughts we choose to nurture. If we spend our days focusing on our insecurities, on everything that is wrong with us, or trying to mold ourselves to please other people, we are literally programming our subconscious to project an energy of neediness and insecurity. But what if we did the opposite? What if we started each day by consciously choosing to feed thoughts of self-acceptance, recognition of our unique talents, and gratitude for our journey? This seemingly simple shift creates an internal revolution that is reflected externally in ways we often can't even fully comprehend. The first secret trick isn't a trick, it's a transformation. It's the moment you decide that you deserve to love yourself, that you deserve to respect yourself, and that your happiness does not depend on anyone's approval or attention. When this decision is made genuinely, something magical happens. You become magnetically attractive because you are emanating an energy of completeness, not of neediness. Think about the people you admire most in your life. They are probably the ones who seem comfortable in their own skin, who have their own opinions, who don't shrink themselves to fit into others' expectations. This authenticity is irresistible because it's rare. We live in a world where so many people are playing characters, trying to be improved versions of themselves to impress others. The journey to awakening genuine attraction begins with the recognition that many of us carry patterns of thought that were shaped by past experiences, family expectations, and social pressures. Napoleon Hill called these negative influences of the mind, and his most revolutionary discovery was that we can consciously reprogram these patterns. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a garden. For years, perhaps decades, seeds of doubt, comparison, and self-judgment have been planted without you even realizing it. These seeds have grown and become the inner voices that say things like, "I'm not interesting enough, I need to change to be loved," or, "If I'm myself, they'll reject me." The work of personal transformation that Napoleon Hill proposed wasn't about suppressing these voices, it was about planting stronger seeds. When we start to cultivate thoughts of genuine self-worth, something extraordinary happens. We not only change how we feel about ourselves, but we literally alter the energy we project into the world. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and immediately command attention? Not because of their physical beauty or the clothes they wear, but because of a magnetic presence. That presence comes from someone who has made peace with themselves, who isn't constantly monitoring or judging themselves, who has found that internal space of peace and self-acceptance. But how do we get there? The first step is to develop awareness of our thought patterns. How many times a day do you catch yourself thinking things like, "He won't like me if he knows this about me," or "I need to be funnier, smarter, more something"? These thoughts are not neutral. They create an energy of neediness that, paradoxically, pushes away the people we want to attract. Napoleon Hill discovered that our mind doesn't distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. This means that when we spend time visualizing scenarios where we are rejected, criticized, or abandoned, our subconscious interprets this as reality and programs us to act defensively and insecurely. The second secret trick is to reverse this process. Instead of feeding scenarios of rejection, we begin to nurture a completely different internal narrative. We start to see ourselves as someone worthy of love, respect, and admiration, not because we are perfect, but because we are human, unique, and authentic. This is not a practice of self-deception or arrogance. It is an honest recognition that you have inherent value, that your experiences, perspectives, and qualities create a unique combination that no one else in the world can offer. Erzman, there is a profound difference between performative self-love and genuine self-love, and it's this difference that determines whether our energy attracts or repels the people around us. Napoleon Hill observed that those who achieved lasting success in relationships were not necessarily the most beautiful or talented, but rather those who had developed a healthy relationship with themselves. Genuine self-love isn't the kind we shout to the world through empty affirmations or social media posts. It's quiet, deep, and manifests in small daily choices. The way we talk to ourselves when we make mistakes, how we set boundaries, how we prioritize our physical and emotional well-being, and especially how we react when someone doesn't reciprocate our feelings. When you truly love yourself, a rejection doesn't become a verdict on your worth as a person. It simply means that specific connection wasn't the right fit, and that's perfectly okay. This ability to keep your self-esteem intact, regardless of external reactions, is incredibly attractive because it demonstrates emotional stability and maturity. Think about how liberating it is to be around someone who doesn't constantly need external validation. This person isn't always asking, "Do you still like me?" or modifying their behavior based on the moods of others. They have a solid inner core that remains stable regardless of external storms. The third secret trick is to develop this internal stability through the conscious practice of self-compassion. When you make a mistake, instead of punishing yourself with harsh internal criticism, practice speaking to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend who was going through the same situation. This change in perspective creates a cascade of transformations. When you treat yourself with kindness, you naturally become kinder to others. When you forgive yourself for your imperfections, it becomes easier to accept the imperfections of others. When you stop judging yourself constantly, you stop judging others as well. And here's something fascinating. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel accepted and not judged. When you develop this capacity for acceptance through the inner work of self-love, you become a safe space for others, and there is nothing more magnetically attractive than that. Napoleon Hill emphasized that our thoughts create our reality, but there's a subtler layer to this. Our feelings about ourselves create the energetic field that surrounds us. When we genuinely enjoy our own company, when we find joy in our own thoughts and interests, when we feel at peace with ourselves, that energy becomes palpable to others. One of Napoleon Hill's most profound discoveries was that true influence over others doesn't come from trying to impress, but from the quality of presence we offer. When we are truly present, not lost in insecurities about how we're being perceived or planning what we're going to say next, we create a magnetic space that naturally draws people in. Conscious presence is a state where you are completely here, now, genuinely interested in the person in front of you, and comfortable being exactly who you are in this moment. There's no hidden agenda, no performance, no attempt to manipulate the other's perception. There is just you, authentic and present. This might seem simple, but in reality most of us rarely experience this state. We are constantly divided between what we are feeling internally and what we are projecting externally. Part of our attention is monitoring our appearance, our performance, evaluating whether we're being interesting, funny, or attractive enough. The fourth secret trick is to learn to reunify this fragmented energy. When you stop dividing yourself between being and appearing when you simply are, something magical happens. You become irresistibly present, and genuine presence is like a magnet. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel truly seen and heard. Napoleon Hill observed that the most influential people he studied had one quality in common. They made others feel like the most important person in the room. Not through empty flattery or manipulation, but through genuine attention and sincere interest. When you're in a conversation, practice really listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but genuinely absorbing what the other person is sharing. Notice how this changes the dynamic. People feel energized when they are with someone who sees them, who hears them, who is truly there. This quality of presence also manifests in how you move through the world. When you're not constantly hiding or apologizing for taking place, when you allow yourself to be seen, there is a natural dignity in your movements that is magnetic. Think about the people who have left lasting impressions on your life. It probably wasn't those who tried the hardest to impress you, but rather those who made you feel comfortable being yourself. That's the quality we develop when we stop trying to be special and start honoring what is already special within us. Authentic connection is born when two people can simply be themselves in each other's presence, without masks or pretense. And to create that space for the other, we first need to create that space for ourselves. Virtue. One of the most revolutionary concepts Napoleon Hill explored was the difference between acting from a place of neediness versus acting from a place of abundance. This distinction is fundamental to understanding why some people are naturally magnetic, while others, despite being objectively attractive, seem to repel others. The energy of neediness manifests in subtle ways: the constant need for validation, the fear of silence in conversations, the tendency to agree with everything to be accepted, or the urgency to prove your worth through external achievements. Even when these tendencies are disguised, they create an underlying vibration that others perceive intuitively. The energy of abundance, on the other hand, comes from a completely different place. It's the tranquility of someone who knows they have something valuable to offer, but doesn't need to force anyone to recognize it. It's the ability to be comfortable with who you are, even when it means not pleasing everyone. It's the freedom to express your genuine opinions, even when they differ from the group's. The fifth secret trick is to recognize that you are already whole. You don't need anything else, not a relationship, not external approval, not specific achievements, to be worthy of love and respect. When this truth settles deep into your belief system, it radically transforms how you interact with the world. Napoleon Hill discovered that our subconscious mind is constantly sending signals about our internal state. When we genuinely believe in our value, we project an energy of self-confidence that is magnetically attractive. When we doubt our value, even if we try to hide it, that doubt leaks through our body language, tone of voice, and behavioral choices. Imagine how different your way of relating would be if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that you are an interesting, valuable, and lovable person. Would you still worry so much about the impression you're making? Would you still modify your personality to fit what you think the other person wants? Probably not. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it can be cultivated through specific practices. One is to start treating yourself as you would treat someone you deeply love and respect. Another is to develop a rich and satisfying relationship with yourself, having hobbies you love, goals that inspire you, a vibrant inner life that doesn't depend on the presence of other people to be fulfilling. When your life is genuinely interesting to you, when you like the person you've become, when you feel excited about your own projects and dreams, this energy of enthusiasm for life becomes contagious. People want to be around those who are passionate about life because that passion awakens something similar in them. The difference between trying to impress someone and naturally attracting them is the difference between pushing and pulling. When you push your energy towards someone, trying to force a connection, it creates resistance. When you simply live your life authentically and passionately, you pull the right people into your orbit. There's a fascinating paradox in human nature that Napoleon Hill observed repeatedly in his studies. People are simultaneously attracted to strength and vulnerability. Not just any kind of vulnerability, but what he called courageous vulnerability, the ability to be authentic about your experiences without victimizing yourself or seeking pity. Courageous vulnerability is when you can share your struggles, your fears, and your imperfections in a way that shows your humanity, without diminishing your dignity. It's the difference between saying, "I'm a disaster," and saying, "I'm going through a challenging time, but I'm growing through it." The first generates pity or discomfort. The second generates respect and connection. The sixth secret trick is to learn the art of being real without being dramatic, of being honest about your experiences without making them your entire identity. When you can talk about your difficulties with the same naturalness as you talk about your joys, you become profoundly human, and authentic humanity is irresistibly attractive. Napoleon Hill discovered that the most magnetic people were those who had transformed their wounds into wisdom, their challenges into strength, their falls into springboards for growth. They didn't hide their imperfections, but they also didn't define themselves by them. Instead, they used their experiences as bridges to genuinely connect with other human beings. Think of someone you deeply admire. It's likely not someone whose life seems perfect in every aspect, but rather someone who has faced adversity and transformed it into something beautiful. There is something deeply attractive about a person who can look at their scars and see them as maps of their journey, not as flaws to be hidden. This courageous vulnerability also manifests in the ability to set healthy boundaries. When you genuinely love yourself, you don't accept poor treatment from anyone, not out of arrogance but out of self-respect. You can say no with kindness but firmness. You can express your needs without apologizing for having them. Interestingly, this ability to protect yourself in a healthy way makes you more attractive, not less. People respect those who respect themselves. There is something magnetic about someone who knows their own worth and acts in accordance with that knowledge. Courageous vulnerability also includes the ability to receive love and care from others without feeling indebted or diminished. Many people have difficulty accepting kindness because they believe, consciously or not, that they don't deserve it. When you develop the ability to receive with grace, you allow others to experience the joy of giving, creating a dynamic of healthy reciprocity. Napoleon Hill emphasized that our ability to positively influence others is directly linked to our ability to be authentically ourselves. When we stop trying to be perfect and start being real, we create space for truly deep connections. Napoleon Hill made an extraordinary discovery in his studies of highly influential people. They all had something they were genuinely passionate about, something that made them shine from the inside out. This passion wasn't necessarily related to other people, but rather to purposes, projects, ideas, or forms of expression that energized them deeply. There is a unique magnetic quality in someone who is connected to their creative and vital force. When you are engaged in something that truly inspires you, your energy changes completely. Your eyes light up when you talk about it, your posture changes, your voice comes alive. This energy of genuine enthusiasm is incredibly contagious and attractive. The seventh secret trick is to rediscover and cultivate your personal passions, not as a strategy to attract someone, but as a way to connect with your own vitality. When you have a rich and interesting life independent of any romantic relationship, you naturally become more interesting to others. Often, over the years, we lose touch with the things that truly excite us. Maybe you abandoned creative hobbies, career dreams, or interests you considered impractical. Maybe you started to define your worth only through relationships or external achievements, forgetting the internal sources of joy and satisfaction. Napoleon Hill observed that when a person is connected to their creative energy, they radiate a quality of completeness that is magnetically attractive. It's not the completeness of someone who has it all, but the completeness of someone who is living in alignment with their true nature. This creative energy can manifest in infinite ways. It can be through art, music, writing, gardening, cooking, entrepreneurship, volunteering, or studying something that fascinates you. What's important is not what you choose to do, but the quality of presence and enthusiasm you bring to that activity. When you are genuinely involved in something you love, you become more attractive because you are being authentically yourself. There's no performance or attempt to impress. There's just the natural flow of someone who is in their element. And there's something deeply seductive about seeing someone in their element. Furthermore, having your own passions creates healthy emotional independence. You don't need another person to fill all the voids in your life because you have internal sources of satisfaction and growth. This independence, paradoxically, makes you more attractive to emotionally mature partners who want to be with someone because they choose to, not because they need to. Creative energy also feeds your self-esteem in a genuine way. When you are creating, learning, growing, building something that has meaning for you, you develop a natural sense of pride and satisfaction that doesn't depend on external validation. This self-esteem, based on genuine personal accomplishments, is much more stable than one that depends on the approval of others. Napoleon Hill emphasized that our subconscious mind responds to what we feed it with our attention and energy. When you regularly engage in activities that inspire and energize you, you program your mind for positive emotional states, which naturally radiate into all areas of your life. Napoleon Hill dedicated years to studying how truly influential people communicated, and he discovered that there were specific patterns in how they used words, tone, and energetic presence. Magnetic communication isn't about being eloquent or always having something clever to say. It's about communicating from a place of authenticity and conscious presence. One of Hill's most profound observations was that the most attractive people didn't try to impress through their words, but rather to create genuine connection. They asked questions that showed real interest in the other person, shared stories that created appropriate intimacy, and had the courage to express their true thoughts and feelings respectfully. The eighth secret trick lies in the quality of your communication, not just what you say, but how you say it, and more importantly, from where inside you these words emerge. When you speak from a place of self-confidence and genuine curiosity about the other person, your communication becomes magnetically attractive. There is a subtle but powerful difference between speaking to impress and speaking to connect. When you try to impress, there's an underlying tension, a hidden agenda, a need to prove something. When you speak to connect, there's relaxation, authenticity, and a genuine interest in creating a moment of mutual understanding. Napoleon Hill observed that the most influential people were excellent listeners. They didn't just politely wait for their turn to speak, they genuinely absorbed what was being shared. This quality of attentive listening is incredibly rare and therefore deeply attractive. When someone feels that you truly see and hear them, a powerful connection forms naturally. Conscious communication also includes the ability to share your own experiences and perspectives in a way that invites intimacy without forcing it. It's knowing when to open up and when to maintain a bit of mystery. It's the art of revealing layers of yourself gradually, allowing the connection to deepen organically. Hill discovered that the words we choose reveal a lot about our internal state. When we primarily talk about problems, complaints, and dramas, we create a heavy energy around us. When we choose to focus on possibilities, learnings, and the positive aspects of life, we create an energy that people naturally want to be around. This doesn't mean being falsely positive or denying difficult aspects of reality. It means consciously choosing where to place your focus and energy most of the time. It means being able to talk about challenges in a way that shows your growth and resilience, not your victimhood. Magnetic communication also includes the power of silence. Knowing when not to speak, when to allow moments of quiet to exist without feeling compelled to fill them with empty words. There is something deeply attractive about someone who is comfortable with silence, who doesn't constantly need to prove their intelligence or interest through incessant conversation. Napoleon Hill emphasized that our words are tools of creation. They shape not only how others perceive us, but also how we perceive ourselves. When you speak about yourself with respect and appreciation, when you tell your story in a way that honors your journey, you are programming both your own mind and the minds of others to see you as someone valuable and interesting. One of the most transformative aspects of Napoleon Hill's teachings was his discovery about the power of genuine gratitude to completely alter our energetic field. He observed that truly magnetic people had developed a profound capacity to appreciate life, not just the good moments, but also the hidden lessons in the challenges. The gratitude that attracts is not the forced or superficial kind we often see on social media. It is a deep, authentic appreciation that is born from truly recognizing the richness that already exists in your life. When you develop this perspective, something fundamental changes in how you relate to the world, and consequently, how the world relates to you. The ninth secret trick is to cultivate an internal state of abundance through the conscious practice of gratitude. When you genuinely feel grateful for the life you have, for the relationships, experiences, opportunities for growth, and even the difficulties that have strengthened you, you radiate an energy of fullness that is magnetically attractive. Napoleon Hill discovered that our mind is constantly looking for evidence to confirm what we believe. If you believe that life is difficult and that you are unlucky, your mind will find abundant evidence to confirm that belief. If you believe that life is full of possibilities and that you are blessed, your mind will find evidence to confirm that perspective as well. The practice of conscious gratitude literally reprograms your nervous system to notice and appreciate positive aspects of life that previously went unnoticed. This creates a virtuous cycle. The more you notice things to be grateful for, the more things appear in your life to inspire gratitude. This internal transformation is reflected externally in surprising ways. Grateful people are naturally more pleasant to be around. They aren't constantly complaining, comparing, or focusing on what's missing. Instead, they celebrate small moments, acknowledge kind gestures, and find joy in simple experiences. Hill observed that individuals with this abundance mindset were like magnets for positive experiences and wonderful people, not by magic, but because their positive energy created an environment where genuine connections could flourish. Who doesn't want to be around someone who makes you feel that life is good and full of possibilities? Authentic gratitude also includes appreciating your own journey, recognizing how much you've grown, the storms you've survived, the wisdom you've acquired through your experiences. When you can look at your life and genuinely feel proud of the path you've walked, it reflects in your posture, in your gaze, in the way you move through the world. This energy of self-appreciation is deeply attractive because it demonstrates emotional maturity and self-awareness. It shows that you are not on a desperate quest for external validation because you already recognize your own worth and growth. Napoleon Hill emphasized that abundance isn't about having more things, but about recognizing the richness that already exists. When you develop the eyes to see this richness in relationships, in experiences, in opportunities for growth, in the beauty that surrounds you, you naturally become someone that others want to know and be near. This energy of abundance also manifests in natural generosity, not just material but emotional. When you feel rich in love, attention, and positivity, you naturally share these qualities with others, creating a virtuous circle of connection and attraction. We have arrived at the moment of integration, where all the elements we've explored come together to form a complete transformation. Napoleon Hill discovered that truly magnetic individuals didn't apply these qualities as isolated techniques, but had integrated them into an authentic and consistent way of being. The real transformation happens when you stop doing these things and simply are these things. When self-love, conscious presence, courageous vulnerability, personal passion, and gratitude become natural aspects of who you are, not strategies you employ. The 10th and final secret trick is to understand that this journey never truly ends. Becoming magnetically attractive isn't a destination you reach and then get to relax. It's a continuous process of growth, self-discovery, and refining your ability to be authentically yourself. Hill observed that the most influential and attractive people he studied had a specific quality. They were committed to their own growth, not in a neurotic or obsessed way, but with a genuine curiosity about how they could continue to evolve as human beings. This commitment to personal growth creates a dynamic and vital energy that is profoundly attractive. When someone is always becoming a fuller version of themselves, there is a quality of mystery and possibility that naturally draws others into their orbit. Integration also means accepting that you won't be attractive to everyone, and that this is perfectly okay. When you are genuinely yourself, you naturally repel people who are not compatible with your energy and attract those who are. This natural selectivity is a gift, not a limitation. Napoleon Hill emphasized that trying to please everyone is a recipe for not attracting anyone deeply. When you have the courage to be your authentic version, you may not be everyone's preference, but you will be irresistible to those who truly matter. True personal magnetism is born from the combination of all these elements: genuine self-love, conscious presence, authentic communication, personal passion, courageous vulnerability, and an abundance perspective. When these qualities are integrated into your being, you no longer need to think about how to be attractive. You simply are. The final result of this transformation is a profound freedom. Freedom to be yourself without apology. Freedom to express your authentic opinions and feelings. Freedom to set healthy boundaries. Freedom to seek genuine connections instead of settling for superficial attention. This freedom is the essence of authentic magnetism. When you are free to be completely yourself, you give others permission to be authentic too. You create spaces where real connections can flourish, where vulnerability can be shared safely, where genuine love can grow. Napoleon Hill concluded that the greatest secret trick of all is that there are no tricks. There is only the courageous journey of becoming who you truly are, and then having the audacity to share that authentic person with the world. When you do that, you not only become magnetically attractive, you become a force for positive transformation in the lives of everyone who has the privilege of knowing you. The person you become on this journey is the most valuable gift you can offer any relationship. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to get love and start being love, love naturally flows to you.